4 operations with negative fractions. Place value. The following number line shows where some fractions would be placed. So in this case we've got 3. Now 3 can be rewritten as 3 over 1. Here we've got negative 1. Negative 1 can be rewritten as negative 1 over 1. Here we've got a half. Here we've got 7/3. Now to help with where to place this on the number line, you can go how many 3's go to 7? It would be 2. How many remainders do we have left over? It will be 1, so therefore we have 2 1/3. Here we've got negative 8/3. How many 3's go to 8? Well, 2. What's the remainder? 2. So therefore we have negative 2 2/3. Adding and subtracting negative values. So adding and subtracting negative fractions are the same as adding and subtracting negative integers or whole numbers. So for example, we have 1 add 4 equals 5. So adding a positive number is basically adding or addition. 1 subtract 4 equals negative 3. So subtracting a positive number equals subtraction. Okay, please note that the 4 is a positive value. 1 add negative 4 equals negative 3. So adding a negative number is basically subtraction, as you can see there. 1 subtract negative 4 equals 5. So subtracting a negative number equals addition. What is the overall pattern there? Adding negative fractions. How do we add a negative fraction with a different denominator? We have a half add negative 1/3. In this case, they're different signs. Just like what you saw before, if they're different signs, this is what happens. It ends up being a subtraction. So a half subtract 1/3. Now we need the same denominators. So now we continue to subtract the fractions. So we have a half subtract 1/3. Here are the physical representations of those values. Now we have to look at the lowest common multiple. In this case, because 2 and 3 are prime numbers, we can just simply multiply them together and we get 6. So therefore, a half is basically 3/6 and 1/3 is 2/6. So now we have the same denominators. So now on the left hand side we can multiply a half by 3. So in other words, we're actually multiplying the 1, or which was the numerator, by 3, and the denominator, which is 2, by 3. And we do the same thing for 1/3, except we're multiplying the numerator and the denominator by 2. So we get 3/6 subtract 2/6, which is basically just 1/6. So 3 subtract 2, so we subtract the numerators and we are left with 1/6. And that's the solution. Subtracting negative fractions. How do we subtract a negative fraction with a different denominator? So we got a half subtract negative 1/3. They're the same signs this time. What are we going to do? That's easy. If they're the same signs, addition. So a half add 1/3. We need the same denominators like we did before. This time we got 1/6 already there for us. So now we just continue to add the fractions. Again, we multiply the numerators and the denominators. We get 3/6 add 2/6. How many do we have? We add the numerators and we get 5/6. And that's our solution there. Multiplying and dividing negative values. Multiplying and dividing negative fractions are the same as multiplying and dividing negative integers or whole numbers. So 1 multiplied by 4 equals 4. So a positive multiplied by a positive equals a positive. Negative multiplied by negative equals a positive. Negative multiplied by a positive equals a negative. Positive multiplied by negative equals a negative. And that's for multiplication. Let's have a look at what happens with division. What do you notice there? Multiplying negative fractions. Here we've got a half multiplied by negative a third. Let's first look at the signs. A half in this case is positive and a third is negative. So what's the solution going to be? Step 2, simplify first, check the multiplication sign or the diagonals. Now 1 is a special number, so we don't have to simplify that. And 2 or 3 are prime numbers, so we don't have to do that either. So now we can just multiply through. And because we have two values of a different sign, the result is going to be a negative. So it'll be negative 1 multiplied by 1 over 2 multiplied by 3. Now that line in between is known as the vinculum. So we've got a half multiplied by negative a third. Now we can evaluate and we simplify again if needed. So it equals negative 1/6. And that's our solution. Dividing negative fractions. Here we got a half divided by negative 1/6. Look at the signs. Here we've got a positive and a negative value. If they're different signs, it's always going to be negative. Step 2, flip the numerator and denominator, the right side only, and multiply. That just means you do this to the fraction on the right hand side. So we have a half, change the division symbol or dividing symbol into multiplication, and now we've got negative 1/6, but we flip the numerator then the denominator. Now we're left with a half multiplied by negative 6 over 1. So step 3, we simplify first, we check the diagonals with the number 1. It's a special number, we can leave it as it is. But how many 2's go into 6? So how many 2's go into 6? Well, we have 3. And how many 2's go into 2? Well, we have 1. So now we've got 1 over 1 multiplied by negative 3 over 1. It equals, we multiply through, and we get negative 1 multiplied by 3 over 1 multiplied by 1. So now we evaluate, we get negative 3 over 1, which just equals negative 3. And we basically simplified there. And that's our solution.